You were on a humanitarian trip with the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, correct?
I've been volunteering with them since 2010, and this was my 8th or 9th trip to Gaza.
Wow, okay. And what were you supposed to be doing there this time around?
Yeah, so what I usually do is I see children that are sponsored, or donors help some children with chronic diseases get their medications, get to the right school, get test strips for diabetes, get their insulin, get batteries for their hearing aids or their implants. And so I just kind of review all those cases, make sure they're getting the right thing and that we're doing the best thing for that child. Saturday morning, I went for a walk on the beach with one of the PCRF staff members and his daughter, and we started at 6. It was a wonderful walk until about 6:30 when we started seeing missiles going from Gaza towards Israel, a lot of them going in all different directions. And so they were concerned. They said they have never seen that many missiles, especially going in so many different directions. So then I went back to the hotel.
What was kind of going through your head whenever you initially saw these missiles heading towards Israel and all of this? Did you have any fear in your mind that maybe one day something like this would happen, or kind of what was going through your mind?
There's always a potential especially going into Gaza, but the West Bank also has had some violence recently. PCRF is really good at keeping me safe. Last year when I went, I didn't go to certain towns in the West Bank because there was some conflict there. So it's always something in the back of your mind as a risk. This was a lot bigger event than they have seen in a long time. And then the staff on PCRF was starting to work on us getting out through the Rafah crossing. We called the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, then we called the U.S. Embassy in Egypt because we needed some special compensation to be able to get a visa to enter Egypt. And so in the beginning, we were hopeful that we were going to get out that Thursday. And then as the week went on, they bombed the Rafah crossing and they closed that crossing. And so what we're mostly thinking is, I'm an optimist, I think 2 or 3 more days. So it was like, well, maybe a week, maybe one more week. And so you just never knew when you were leaving, and you were always prepared to leave.
Were you moving around a lot?
So then we moved to a UN center in Gaza City, and that's where we met up with other humanitarian aid staff and volunteers. And so then we became a larger group. There were probably about 35 of us. We slept all on the floor in one room for a couple nights, and then the Israelis said we had to leave Gaza City. So we went down to the south, not the farthest south, a place called Khan Yunis, where there's refugee camps in a town. And we went to a UN center there, and we stayed there for a few nights. That center is a vocational school that people just, and we could just see thousands of Palestinians just going into there, and they really didn't have facility. It wasn't a facility for that. I knew of one shower in the whole facility, scarce bathrooms. There was some water from a hose, but that's not really potable water. And people right away started building things for their families.
And in that area, that was where food scarcity was, or food insecurity was really prevalent, right?
Especially towards the end, we calculated all the food we had, all the calories we had. There were 50 people staying with us, and we realized that we only had enough for 2 days on really only 800 calories per person per day. It's devastating, really. I know these families. They just want to live normal lives with their children and their families, and it's just devastating to see them. Every day I would talk to the PCRF finance person who was out in that camp with his 8 children and other family members. 150 family members were living out there, and they didn't have enough water, and they couldn't even go to the bathroom. There just wasn't enough facilities for everyone. And so just seeing them like that. I mean, this is a war where both sides have targeted civilians, and so when you're not providing water, when you're limiting food, when you're cutting off electricity, that affects civilians, and so and you worry about children. Half the population is children. When you don't have good sanitation, they get dysentery. The kids are really who are going to suffer most. Okay, so I think Palestinian Children's Relief Fund is a wonderful organization. The money really goes to children. Right now, they're getting ready to deliver things as soon as they can get in.
As a journalist, I have empathy for the people of Gaza and the people of Israel and everyone in between affected, and I'm sure you have the same feelings. What do you have to say, or what are your thoughts as far as this war and what should be done moving forward?
Right, so I'm a pediatrician, not a politician, but I think you always have to look at the root and the cause and the situation that people are living in Gaza, where they're really, it's the largest open air prison in the world. It's the third most densely populated area in the world, and they can't leave, they can't come, they can't improve themselves, they can't export foods very easily, they have trouble getting things in, they're going to have trouble rebuilding. And I think that everyone deserves civil rights, they deserve the right to have a good life. And I think until those people get that opportunity, you're going to have strife, and it's not going to be safe for the people in Gaza, and it's not going to be safe for the people in Israel.